Recent moves by the Russian military administration in occupied parts of Ukraine, known as the Zone, have drastically reduced the freedom of Russian soldiers serving there, with infractions being punished by sending offenders into suicidal assaults. The constant threat of Ukrainian drone strikes and tougher restrictions imposed by the Russian army on troop movements in the rear now mean that Russian soldiers in occupied Ukraine live almost like in a penal colony, according to a serving Russian soldier. Recent moves by the Russian military administration in occupied parts of Ukraine, known as the Zone, have drastically reduced the freedom of Russian soldiers serving there, with infractions being punished by sending offenders into suicidal assaults. The author of the Vault No. 8 Telegram channel writes about the current situation in the distant rear, closer to the Russian border. In addition to the threat of FPV drones in the rear, there is also the threat of strikes by HIMARS rockets and aircraft-type kamikaze drones. Although the frequency of strikes is lower than in the near rear, their power and lethality are higher. In the far rear, more than 40 kilometers from the front line, the frequency of aircraft-type kamikaze flights can reach 1 to 5 per day at a distance of up to 70 kilometers from the front line. Strikes with HIMARS, operational tactical and cruise missiles, are rare, but if this happens, dozens or hundreds of people can become victims. Soldiers receive 3 meals a day based on standard rations. The possibility of walking to shops, as well as traveling by car, is severely restricted by the military police and is under close supervision. Travel outside the base areas of military units is extremely limited, as it is in the permanent points of deployment in the peaceful part of the country. The possibility of crossing the border of the zone into peaceful Russia this year is limited to 5 cars per day. Therefore, the availability of goods at marketplaces, household goods, and other benefits of civilization in 2025 for the military somewhere at a training ground in the zone is worse than in 2023-2024. Simply put, if you are a rear serviceman at a training ground, then you live almost like in a penal colony. You can't go anywhere without an order. You can't cross the border into Russia. There are 3 layers of military police: regimental, divisional, army, district, and traffic police all around. Internet access in the rear is severely restricted. Starlink is banned in the rear, and there are constant raids by the military police and other agencies looking to score easy points by confiscating prohibited gadgets. Thus, if we compare everyday life, then, in terms of food, in the near rear, the regulations are 80% due to the Ukrainians. In the middle rear, it's more or less equal. In the far rear, the regulations are 80% due to the army and military police. In terms of washing, in the near rear, 1 to 2 times a week due to the Ukrainians, sometimes less often. The closer to the front line, the more difficult. In the middle rear, it's normal, 2 to 3 times a week. In the far rear, 1 to 2 times a week due to the army. You wash more often in the far rear if you built a bathhouse for your troops. According to the regulations, you can wash in the government bathhouse once a week. About the internet. In the near rear, not everyone has it because of the Ukrainians. In the middle rear, everyone has it, and it is stable. In the far rear, not everyone has it because of the fight against the prohibited internet. The higher the headquarters you are transferred to, the more work, but the salary is the same. In the regiment, you work with the papers of your unit and have correspondence with the higher headquarters. And that's it. You are transferred to the division. Your rank is the same, the salary is the same. But you have document flow with 5 subordinate regiments and 5 to 6 separate units, and also correspondence with the Army headquarters. That is, the work increases approximately 10 times. The higher the level of a separate unit, for example, a divisional separate engineer sapper battalion, an Army engineer sapper regiment, the more work and the wider the geography of application. You and your comrades are scattered on missions in the area of responsibility of the entire division, but the salary is the same, the vacation is the same. There are more calls for missions, plus you periodically work as a fire brigade in solving urgent issues. Therefore, from the point of view of a soldier, sergeant, and warrant officer, it is better to serve in a regiment and deal with a familiar range of tasks, although you are closer to the front line and take risks more often. And, by the way, again about risks. Of course, at the front and in the near rear, there is a higher chance of catching an FPV. But you are engaged in combat work, supplies, and construction. And being a rear-line worker, you can catch the same FPV while taking the documentation for checking the bathhouse to the regiment commander for signature. Or simply, as we recently had here, delivering sushi to one of the bosses. No one was hurt. The electronic warfare jammer worked. To sum it up, the drone revolution has made rear service in the zone up to 40 kilometers from the front line not as rosy as it is imagined by old warriors and militarists who have not been to the special military operation. And beyond 40 kilometers, no one guaranteed that ATAC MS would not fly to you one day with a greeting. Tension is present everywhere in the zone and in the borderlands. A suspect in the fatal shooting of Andriy Parubiy, a Ukrainian politician who previously served as the parliament speaker, has been detained, President Volodymyr Zelensky announced. The suspect has given an initial testimony. Urgent investigative actions are currently underway to establish all the circumstances of this murder, Zelensky said. Parubiy was shot dead in Lviv on August 30th by an assailant disguised as a courier, prompting a nationwide manhunt. During a press briefing in Lviv, police officials said that Parubiy was shot at 8 times with a short-barreled firearm. 7 shell casings were found at the crime scene. Ivan Vyhivsky, Ukraine's police chief, said the crime was not random and had a Russian trace. A 52-year-old resident of Lviv was charged with Parubiy's murder, the prosecutor general's office announced. Searches at the suspect's residence and other places where he has stayed are underway. Interior Minister Ihor Klimenko said that the suspect was apprehended in Khmelnytsky Oblast. Vyhivsky noted that the attacker tried to hide in the western region after he tried to cover his tracks by changing clothes and disposing of the weapon. The crime was carefully prepared. The attacker studied the victim's movements, mapped out the route, and planned the escape, Klimenko added. Once again, police officers and employees of the Security Service of Ukraine have demonstrated a high level of professionalism. Within 24 hours of the murder, they were already on the direct trail of the shooter, and within 36 hours, they detained him. Speaking at a briefing later on September 1, police officials said that the crime was being planned for more than a month and that the attacker received instruction and assistance. The suspect planned to flee abroad after the crime. There is currently no evidence suggesting he had accomplices, the police said. The crime has signs of being contract-based. There is operational information indicating the possible involvement of Russian intelligence services in organizing the murder, said Vadim Onishchenko, the SBU chief in Lviv Oblast. Parubiy, a prominent Ukrainian activist and politician, was born in 1971 near Lviv. His public life began during the Soviet era, where he was arrested twice for organizing anti-government protests. Following Ukraine's independence, Parubiy transitioned into politics, first winning a seat in parliament in 2007. He was an active participant in the nation's major pro-democracy movements, including the 2004 Orange Revolution. He gained prominence during the 2014 Euromaidan protests, where he led volunteer self-defense groups. The 2013-2014 Euromaidan revolution called for closer ties with the European Union and led to the ouster of pro-Russian President Viktor Yanukovych. After the removal of Yanukovych, Parubiy served as Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council from February to August 2014. This period coincided with Russia's annexation of Crimea and the start of the war in eastern parts of Ukraine, namely Donetsk and Luhansk oblasts. Due to his key position during the initial stages of Russian aggression, Parubiy frequently became a target of Russian state propaganda and disinformation campaigns. Law enforcement authorities said they are investigating whether Parubiy received threats before his death. Ukraine's offensive capabilities look set to receive a significant boost in the coming months, with the announcement that the U.S. has authorized a European-funded $850 million sale of 3,350 extended-range attack munition (ERAM) missiles. Up to 3,350 ERAM missiles and 3,350 navigation modules to counter spoofing will be procured. Presidential Office Chief of Staff Andriy Yermak wrote on social media, confirming the deal. According to U.S. NATO Ambassador Matt Whitaker, the move is an effort by U.S. President Donald Trump to make sure Ukraine can defend itself against Russia by giving it deeper strike capabilities. The new long-range capabilities could help Ukraine offensively, Whitaker said, adding, they've already taken about 20% of Russia's oil refining capacity last month.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.